JDs and gentlemen, welcome. This is the official ranking of the best and the worst Battlegrounds games on Roblox. Any other ranking you've seen on YouTube, they're no longer valid. This ranking is the one and only valid ranking in the observable universe. Anyway, I'll be ranking each game from 1 to 14, where 14 is the absolute worst, and 1 is the glorious king of Battlegrounds games. We'll be doing this list in order too, starting right from the bottom. Number 14. Now, this game is so bad that it barely even deserves to be called a Battlegrounds game. It is the absolute bottom of the barrel, low-hanging fruit, pure garbage of a game.
The voice of the people. This Battlegrounds game is absolute hot garbage.
It's so bad, in fact, that I thought about not even including it on this list. Can you guess which game I'm talking about? If you said Fruit Battlegrounds, you'd be correct. Fruit Battlegrounds takes our number 14 spot, and for good reason. Right from the get-go, I was met with several overpriced game passes. If this isn't a huge red flag, then I don't know what is. In other words, this game is basically a cash grab. If you've been around on Roblox for a while, chances are you've seen these type of games before. You boot up the game, spin for a fruit, enter the world, and now you have to mindlessly grind to unlock the basic abilities. Games like these leech off of premium players AFKing in their game to make a quick buck. And if you guys didn't already know, Roblox pays developers based on how long premium players play their game for, and games designed for AFK players make tons. This is also what games like Souls RNG do. But that game is a completely different story. If you actually genuinely tried to enjoy this game without AFKing, you'd probably struggle. A lot. Pretty much my entire experience on this game was running around the map with nothing to do. There were no enemies, and I couldn't find any players either. I don't know if I missed the tutorial, but there wasn't one of those either. The game is just so bland and boring. The only good thing I can genuinely say about this game is that the animation for spinning a fruit looks pretty nice. That's it. There's no doubt this Battlegrounds game deserves last place if you can even call it one. I think that if I had a choice between playing this game for an hour and solitary confinement for 15 years, I'd choose the latter. So, with our number 14 spot taken, let's move on to the next game on our list. Number 13, Cyan Battlegrounds. For those of you that know this game, it really should come as no surprise here. Like, do I even need to explain this one? Just look at this game. There's a reason it has such a bad like to dislike ratio. There really isn't a lot to say about this game, besides that it's really, really ugly. Anyway, I think it's best we move on to number 12. This one may come as a surprise to some of you, but I personally think it deserves this spot. Sorcerer Battlegrounds. Now, from a first glance, this game doesn't really seem that bad. It's got decent visual effects, a decent map, etc. But it just has a few major issues glaring right at you through the window. I think the biggest one is just incredibly slow updates. The last time I played this game was about 6 months ago, and it has the exact same free-to-play characters as it does now. I mean, Battlegrounds games aren't no strangers to slow updates. Looking at you here. But this game takes it to another level, honestly. Granted, there still are updates, just very rarely. All the hype this game had has completely died in the past couple months. I wouldn't be surprised if the developers have just given up at this point. Additionally, the combat to this game just feels raw and unbalanced. If you get caught in a combo by someone who's learned even just a basic combo, you can kiss that health bar goodbye. This is why I've given Sorcerer Battlegrounds the number 12 spot. Moving on. Now, I know this game isn't really popular, but I just had to talk about it. Sukuna Battlegrounds. This game is basically a giant joke. You can probably already tell from the like to dislikes ratio. I think it's also a joke how this game is genuinely more enjoyable than Sorcerer Battlegrounds. Sukuna Battlegrounds is like those games that are so bad, they're actually kind of fun. The game is literally one giant asset rip with hundreds of bugs and glitches. Here I got stuck in place indefinitely. They even had a Craigslist KJ stickman. There's also usually someone completely nuking the map every 2 minutes with what I assume is supposed to be hollow purple. Anyway, moving on to number 10 on our list, Z Battlegrounds. This game is basically just Cyan Battlegrounds, but a little bit better. Both games are based on the same anime, Dragon Ball, but Z Battlegrounds does literally everything but better. Still, though, it really isn't a good game. I guess if you like Dragon Ball, you might find some enjoyment in this game, but at the end of the day, there's quite a few issues with this game, namely the combat, feeling unexciting and unfinished for the most part. Additionally, the auto-use feature in the drop-down menu doesn't work, which made this game quite painful to play. On the topic of the drop-down menu, though, it looks like this was ripped straight out of the Strongest Battlegrounds. They look pretty much identical with a few slight changes in color.
Wake your ass up because it's time to go.
Ultimates in this game also feel very lackluster. I'm not sure if it's just the poor choice of sound effects or the mediocre visual effects, but it doesn't feel good to play. The ultimates just feel a lot weaker than they should, which is why Z Battlegrounds is placed in the number 10 spot. At number 9 is Chakra Battlegrounds. A very interesting game to say the least, and also a very new one. This game was placed at the number 9 spot, not necessarily because it's bad, but it lacks content. This is because the game is pretty much brand new. The game is based on Naruto, and currently only has one free character, which is unfinished, and an early access one. As far as this game goes, everything seems quite clean and polished, especially the animations, like this one for activating your ultimate. Unfortunately, this ult only has one move at the moment. The game also features weather, which admittedly is a little bit thick, and a day and night system, which is quite nice to have in these games. The only reason this game is so low on the list is simply because it currently lacks content. If this game gets good updates, I'm sure it would easily make top 5 or 6. Up next is number 8. Number 8 on our list is Cyan Battlegrounds. This game is a bit of a mixed bag, to be honest. Some things are good, some are bad. But this game isn't really anything special. The only reason it's above number 9 is because there's more stuff to do. The combat in this game feels quite slow and clunky, but for a Battlegrounds based on One Piece, it's probably the best you'll find on ROBLOX. The game features a small variety of characters, each with complete movesets, aside from the early access character and the locked character, which, by the way, I have no idea if this locked character actually exists or is just a placeholder for future characters. There is one thing I really don't like about this game, though. If you play as the default character, Luffy, you have to deal with the most insufferable f***ing noise ever. You see, this noise wouldn't be such a problem if 1, there was an option to turn off specifically this sound effect, and 2, you couldn't hear it from halfway across the f***ing map. It's the fact that it's the same exact sound every single time. There was a chance I would have put this game a little higher if it weren't for this sound effect. Just kidding, f*** this sound effect. I actually hate it so much, this game would be lower if it was possible specifically because of this sound effect. But this game stays in its number 8 spot, and it ain't budging. At number 7 is yet another game based off of Jujutsu Kaisen, which, if you haven't realized by now, is a common theme for these games. Number 7 is Cursed Arena. Nothing too special with this game either. It's your basic Battlegrounds game with somewhat decent visual effects, sound effects, and combat. All of those are pretty mediocre, to be honest. However, there is one thing that sets this game apart from others. It's one of, or if not the only, popular Battlegrounds game to allow you to unlock characters and abilities through fighting bosses. It actually gives players of the game a purpose to play, and not just to fight other people. Progressive systems are typically more engaging than a game without one. Take Sky Rift, for example, a game which at its peak had thousands of players daily, but since there wasn't anything to progress towards, the game quickly died. Cursed Arena is also one of those games where not everybody is sweating their butt off trying to kill you. You can just hop on and chill out a little because 90% of the player base are noobs. Also, I found this side dash fling bug with this wall that allows you to get into the tree. So, with Cursed Arena taking our number 7 spot, which is all around a pretty solid game, let's move on. The top 6 is where we really start to get into the higher quality games. At number 6, we have Cursed Battlegrounds. Yet another game based off of Jujutsu Kaisen. Cursed Battlegrounds is a well-polished game with good visual effects, sound effects, and gameplay. All of the animations in this game look great, and the combat is also decently balanced. The dash mechanics in this game also feel nice and smooth. There are currently, however, only 2 free-to-play characters in the game, those being Gojo and Sukuna. This is really the only issue with the game, lack of content, because I believe the dev for this game is solo. Compared to a lot of other smaller, newer Battlegrounds games, this is probably the most popular. And another thing I quite like about this game is the voice lines and the subtitles. It makes the game a little more unique compared to other Jujutsu Kaisen games. So that's why this game gets the number 6 spot. Coming in hot at number 5, though, is Project Smash. Now, this game is probably the most unique one on this list. It's a mixture of the standard Battlegrounds games and Super Smash Bros. Put into one game. The premise of the game is to damage your opponents, and as they take more damage, the percentage above them increases. Where the higher the percentage is, the more knockback you take. The aim is to knock your opponents off of the map. If you do, you are rewarded with experience points, which can level you up and earn you money. It has a large variety of characters, with new ones getting added regularly. Additionally, it features a progressive system in which you have to play the game to unlock the more expensive characters. This generally makes the game much more engaging for all players. There are a couple issues with this game, though. For example, the visual effects and movement isn't really all there. Additionally, none of the characters have ultimate movesets like other Battlegrounds characters typically have. Aside from that, though, the game is definitely a fun one in its own way. Another thing this game has done, which a lot of other Battlegrounds games need to do, is that it has completely patched tab glitching. This is great for the health of the game, because I think you can put the pieces together why tab glitching being unpatched in this game would be awful. The only way to die is prevented by freezing your character in place. Additionally, this game is just fun, which is why it takes the number 5 spot on this list. Lucky number 4 is next. For number 4, we have Heroes Battlegrounds, the only popular Battlegrounds game to be based off of My Hero Academia. The game itself features a decent variety of characters. The thing I like the most about this game is probably the movement. It feels really fast, fluid, and smooth. The animation, visual effects, and sound effects for this game are all great and fit really well. Like, just look at this impact frame. In one of the ult moves, they literally have a "nah, I'd win" frame. The only real issue with this game is that it's absolutely full of teamers. At least half of my experience in this game was spent running from teamers. I don't know what it is with this game specifically in teamers, but that's just the way it is. I also like how they show the passive for your dash cooldowns just above the ultimate bar. There is also mastery in this game that allows you to unlock new movesets, as well as bosses, which is a progressive system and allows players to enjoy the game more. Heroes Battlegrounds is all around a great game, without many issues, which is why I'm placing it in the number 4 spot. Finally, we're on to our runner-ups. Coming in at 3rd place, a well-earned spot of course, is Ultimate Battlegrounds. A relatively new game on the platform, Ultimate Battlegrounds has taken it by storm. This game is very well polished. Everything in the game feels smooth and good to use. It's also pretty well balanced, which is rare for a new game. I had a lot of fun when recording for this game, and my favorite thing about it has to be the map, to be honest. I'm not sure if it's intentional or not, but the map heavily favors runners. The varying altitudes make it easy to dodge some abilities. Look at this, for example. This guy has ult and couldn't hit me once because of me abusing the terrain on this map. He was understandably pretty annoyed when his ult ran out. The game currently only has 2 full characters and an early access one. It's also one of the only games to base characters not on a single show. For example, the 2 free characters are based on Nanami from Jujutsu Kaisen, and I believe Gon from Hunter x Hunter. The ultimates in this game are also very well polished. The animations are very clean, as well as the moves still feeling strong, but also not unbalanced. Another fun thing you can do in this game is if you get a finisher on someone that flings them, you can fling them into the tower and destroy it, like Angry Birds. There's also a fun little hidden spot you can get into on the main map by using select moves to destroy this wall. So, all around a great game, with lots of potential too. That's why it takes the number 3 spot. Coming in at second place, most of you probably expected this one, Jujutsu Shenanigans. This is like the 6th Jujutsu Kaisen game on this list now, but definitely the best one among them. From the outside, the game may not seem all that much. I mean, dashes and M1ing is a little bit bland, but the one thing that sets this game apart from others is the map destruction. Every piece of the map is destructible, which allows for some very fun scenarios. Which also brings me to the next point. The game is just fun. You want to set off hollow purple nukes? You want to get teamed on by Gohan and Mahoraga? You want to become Hakari and run around flinging people? You can do just that here. The game doesn't take itself too seriously that it negatively affects enjoyment of the game. It doesn't focus too much on ranked modes, even though there is one for you competitive players out there, or being the best player the game has ever seen. It's just a game here to have fun on, and it's here to stay. Not only that, but updates on this game are generally pretty fast, which keeps the player base alive. There's also a casual 1v1 system with a twist. At the start of a match, you get to choose something that changes the game for you. Usually it benefits you in some way, but also has drawbacks.
Yes, my blockle doesn't work.
A very deserving number 2 spot on this list. Finally, what you've all been waiting for. You can probably already guess it. I don't think I need to say what it is. The Strongest Battlegrounds. The Strongest Battlegrounds is the all-father of Battlegrounds games. It essentially invented the genre and popularized it to the brink. This game is a no-brainer at the number 1 spot. Of all the Battlegrounds games, it definitely has the best visual effects, balancing, and sound effects. It currently features 6 free-to-play characters and 1 in early access. What makes this game enjoyable typically is the fighting. Dashing feels smooth and impactful and allows for quality of life fights and engagement. That is, until someone flies across the map to steal you. This game is by a mile the most popular on the list, probably having more total players than the rest combined. I guess there are a few issues with the game, such as tab glitching and slow updates, but they aren't very big issues at all. It's also arguable that you could put Jujutsu Shenanigans' level of fun above the Strongest Battlegrounds, but aside from that, it's better in pretty much every way besides speed of updates. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Took me a lot longer than I thought it would. That's all for today's video. If you like this content, consider supporting the channel by liking or subscribing. You can always change your mind later. I hope to see you next time. See ya!